Good afternoon. My name is Frank Ferrio, and I am the principal at the North Intermediate School. This is my colleague, Mr. Dennis Shaw. Mr. Shaw is the principal at our sister school, the West Intermediate. Both intermediate schools in Wilmington house students in grades 4 and 5. We're here to talk today about some of the new and exciting ways that our teachers are infusing their lessons with new technologies. We'll be focusing on one program in particular today called the Renzuli Learning System. Mr. Shaw and I will be returning in January to continue our discussion about what's happening technology-wise in our schools.
Thank you, Mr. Ferrio. We'd like to introduce our first guest, Mrs. Lisa Eppolito. Lisa is our Elementary Technology Integration Specialist. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Lisa, why don't you begin by telling us about the role of the Technology Integration Specialist in our schools?
Well, I was fortunate enough to have this position as of last year, and my role currently is I work with elementary teachers, grades K through 5, implementing technology into their classrooms. And currently this year we're moving more to a team building coaching situation where we work both in the lab and within the classrooms, integrating new softwares and new technologies.
Thank you.
Lisa, now let's talk specifically about the Renzuli program. Can you tell us how did we come to adopt this particular program in the schools?
Well, this project came about, Wilmington Public Schools, as you know, was looking for a program to enhance student achievement and to provide growth for all students. And so the Wilmington Educational Foundation partnered up with Wilmington Public Schools and came across a research-based program, which is Renzuli Learning, to use with our students in the 4th and 5th grade here in town.
Thank you. And what are some of the benefits of this program for our students?
First and foremost, the program provides enhancement to student achievement, which we're always looking for new ways to help our students. It gives the teachers an opportunity to truly differentiate instruction within their classrooms, as well as the students are really engaged in the program, becoming independent learners, working on things that are interest of them at their ability level, and also on their learning style.
Great. When students first log on to the program, they're prompted to complete what's called a profiler. Can you tell us about this profiler?
Well, the profiler allows the students within 45 minutes to identify the ways that they like to learn best, their ability style, how they feel as a learner, which is so important. And once the profiler is done, they're able to create what's called a profile. The teachers are able to see that and learn rather quickly about their classroom at the start of the school year. And parents also can create their own accounts and look at the profiler. And I think the best part is the kids read their profile and realize how it sounds so much like them, and they're always amazed by that. And so what they do is there's a range of smiley faces on the various topics, and they choose how they feel about a certain topic. So for example, reading, how much they feel that they enjoy doing reading, or do they feel it's a strength of theirs in terms of their ability.
Thank you. And after they've completed the profiler, what is the next thing that they're going to see?
Renzuli creates their own homepage for each individual student, and so on the page it gives them an area that says My Enrichment Activities, and the students are able to click on the area that says My Enrichment Activities, and from their profile and from their interests and their learning style, different enrichment activities have been formed for those students. Things like virtual field trips, online assignments, projects, even there's 14 different icons of enrichment activities, so it even goes as far as summer programs that they might be interested in based on their learning style and interest.
Excellent. Thank you, Lisa. You mentioned that Renzuli differentiates instruction. We understand what differentiates means, but I think our audience may not. Can you tell us what differentiated instruction is, and how does Renzuli accomplish this task?
So differentiated instruction, in a nutshell, basically is looking at students and their interests and their knowledge base and the ways that they like to learn best, and then providing instruction in that manner. This type of instruction motivates children to learn, work beyond their capabilities, and enrich them in the areas that they feel are strengths. And Renzuli fits the bill for that. I know many of our teachers are creating groups and managing different groups based on a variety of different parameters, including ability, learning styles, and such, to provide enrichment for those gifted students who might want to further their learning, and it also supports and enriches the levels for those kids who may have special needs. And then all children just love using the program.
Thank you. So it really sounds like teachers can custom make individual activities and lessons for their students. Is this difficult for them to do? Is it a hard task? Or?
Well, Renzuli has different search menus that are available for teachers and the students as well. So in terms of the teachers, they're able to research topics that are based on the curriculum they're currently teaching in their classrooms. And then from that variety of lessons that they receive from the Renzuli Learning Program, they're able to go through, view the lessons, and decide what works for their classroom, what fits into the curriculum. And then also at the same time, many teachers take their kids to the lab, and to fit in that differentiated instruction, we'll have the kids themselves enter a topic into the search bar as students. And Renzuli will pull out programs and activities and resources for students based on their individual learning style. And so it's kind of moving away from that one-size-fits-all.
That's great, thank you. It sounds like an awful lot to accomplish in one period in the computer lab in school. Is it possible for students to access this from outside the school, different places to access it from?
Great question, because I know the kids are so excited to use the program and always wanting to use it more and more and more. So Renzuli can be used anywhere that there's a computer and an internet access, and we've been very fortunate to partner up with our own public library, the Wilmington Public Library, where we have bookmarks there that list all the URLs or web addresses of the programs that we're currently using here in the Wilmington Public Schools. So the kids could go to the library, grandma's house, during summer vacation, school vacation, so it's available to them 24/7.
That's excellent. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Next, I think we're going to take a look at a short video. Maybe, Lisa, you can explain what's happening in the video as we watch it.
Oh, great. In this video, students are working in the lab using Renzuli Learning Program. And as you can see, most of the screens have different information on them because everyone's working on their own assignments created just for them through the Renzuli Learning Program. Kids often print different activities to further, especially if they're doing a project. They go on virtual field trips, things like Sistine Chapel or San Diego Zoo. There are so many different resources for the kids to use through Renzuli. And here's one of our teachers, Mrs. Lojak, working with her students. What's great too, it has an email component to the program, so our students are able to communicate with the teachers as well as the teachers communicating with the students, providing them encouragement for the work that they're doing. In this video here are some of our staff members being trained on how to use the Renzuli Learning Program, and so they're creating learning groups within their own classrooms, working really hard to provide those rich activities for the students to do, to learn from, to enrich their current curriculum. Of course, the two of you have always been supportive in your learning of the Renzuli program as well, so we don't want to miss that either.
There's an awful lot of applications for the program that are very exciting.
It is. Oh, and this was exciting for all of us. These are parents. We had a parent night, both for the Renzuli program and the Study Island program, where the parents learned how to utilize the program at home and how to support their children at home.
How does computer do that? And that's sort of like the hook that cracks them into Renzuli. So that's great.
Thank you. So that was a great little snippet of
Great.
some different activities with Renzuli.
Thank you.
I also understand that you've worked closely with some of our own teachers to do some outside of the classroom creative things with Renzuli. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about some of those exciting projects that are taking place.
Well, as you both know, our teachers here in Wilmington are always looking for ways to assist our students to meet their fullest potential. And so we have several teachers doing different things with Renzuli. So one program we are running currently is an after-school math program for students who need some assistance in math using the Renzuli Learning Program. And that program is being run by Mrs. Diane Quinn and Mrs. Allison Sarah and myself. And so we meet weekly and we look at kids as individuals and create assignments based on their needs of the area that they need to have strengthened. and the kids come willingly. It isn't like it's a chore for them, and they're always asking when they can come back. Another exciting program going on over at the West is Mrs. Muriel Gravelisi is running a book club, an author's club with students from the West, where they read certain novels, and then she creates independent activities for them to do, and some of those are on display, I know, in your foyer, and they're fantastic. And then lastly, we have 2 teachers actually piloting the use of Renzuli through science and social studies to integrate it into their curriculum.
Thank you. And very shortly we're going to take a break, and after that break we're going to have those 2 teachers join us and tell us a little bit about what they're doing with the Renzuli program pilots that they're running right now. Welcome back. As I mentioned before the break, we have 2 teachers that are using the Renzuli system in some new and exciting ways. We'd like to welcome Mrs. Sally Lojek, grade 5 teacher at the North, and Ms. Jen DeSimone, grade 5 teacher at the West. Thank you for joining us, ladies. Why don't you take turns telling us a little bit about what you've been doing and how you've been using the Renzuli system with your students this year. Jen, why don't you start?
Over the summer, I met with both Lisa and Sally, and we began by looking at the Massachusetts frameworks. From there, we were able to look at different activities. We had many websites and web quests that we could look at in different virtual field trips. From there, we were able to create lessons that went with our program. I began with the solar system and space, and my first lessons were on the seasons. And this was great because the students were able to see the Earth orbiting and also revolving around the sun. So it wasn't just something they read in the book, it was something they could see as well. We also then moved to learned about the moon and the different phases of the moon. And students were able to actually click on the moon and move it to adjust to the different phases. And now we're working on space and the planets and the sun, and we have a web quest, and students are then creating a PowerPoint presentation. The students in my class love going to the computer lab. They're always excited and engaged in science compared to just being a book and answering questions. And I know, Sally, you are working on social studies?
Yeah. My name is Sally Lojek. I teach at the North Intermediate, and I'm piloting the social studies part of the program. And I teach social studies to 2 classes, so I've got 46, 47 excited kids. The kids are really, really excited about being able to do social studies down in the lab. Every time it's social studies, they want to make sure they're going to make it to the lab. I think it's just, nature of the beast that they would rather do something in the lab than, from a book. And it is more interesting. I started out with maps and globes. We did a unit on Vikings, which they absolutely loved. Some of the activities, they were able to build a virtual longship and a Viking home, and we were able to write our name in the runes. So it's, it's different types of activities, very hands-on. The kids are always interacting with each other in the lab, which, lets me know that their enthusiasm is not waning. We just finished up our unit, or we're finishing it up actually this week, our unit on the age of exploration, and so they were able to research all the explorers, and they're in cooperative groups right now, and they're composing letters from the perspective of the explorer back to their sponsoring country that we're actually going to put a message in a bottle and mail our message to the bottle. So it's just neat little activities like that that very different from the curriculum that we have used in the previous years. It's really nice to know that we're aligning our activities directly with the Massachusetts state standards, because very few programs are written exactly for Massachusetts, so we're making sure that the kids are doing exactly what the Department of Education wants us to do. It's really easy to access at home, so it's the kids can take this from the computer lab into their home computers. And now that we've had training, Lisa did talk to you about the training with the parents. Parents are going online with their children and knowing what to see. I actually had a mother email me saying that she enjoyed sitting down with her child doing part of the Viking assignment. So parents are, equally as engaged, and it's just a really neat way to teach. I think science and social studies are fascinating subjects, and I think this is a nice delivery for it.
In such a safe way too.
Yeah,
The Renzuli
absolutely.
learning.
Absolutely, yeah,
it
and they're
provides safe-
getting a lot of their research skills and on it. And I think the most important aspect is that they're so enthusiastic about it, that they go that little extra instead of seeing maybe how little they can do. They're always, wanting to know the extra activity. And there are a lot of there's a lot of follow-up games. So if you have children that finish the assignment that I was focusing on, then they're able to go on and do sort of like the extracurricular, the enrichment activities, while the other students are finishing up what they need to. So again, that whole differentiation element is there for them.
I would imagine that in addition to all the content they're learning in social studies and science, they're also improving the technical skills using computers. Have you seen like any kind of a difference in the kids' abilities to, say, produce documents or graphs and things like that as the program goes forward?
Well, you were saying that you did PowerPoint.
I've done PowerPoint,
Yeah.
and my students, with the activity, they have created transitions to the slide. They've added clip art from the internet and both the clip art that Microsoft provides, and they've also added sound. My students are also really great because I'll upload worksheets on saving the worksheets and printing the worksheets. So I think it has improved their computer skills.
It's also improved my computer skills too.
As a teacher, sure.
I've been baptism by fire. I've been forced to, but so I'm doing a lot of things that I probably wouldn't have got to if I hadn't started working on this. I created my own web quest, which was a big thing. So yeah, it forces me to do a little bit more with technology too.
You've both done great.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really
Thank
well.
you.
I assume that the children really enjoy doing this. I mean, I've seen it. They really love it. Is it a lot more work for you as a teacher, or is it less work for you as a teacher than teaching a standard kind of a curriculum?
You want to take this one, or you want me to?
You can take.
It is a tremendous amount of work. It really is. So many times when teachers pilot programs, they're given the books and the manual and any ancillary materials that go with it. And although Renzuli is a wonderful program and it is all there, we're kind of charged with going out, and because there are so many activities, you have to pick and choose which ones are appropriate for your grade level and the interests and learning styles of your students. And you can go in and 3 hours later you realize that you're still looking for activities. So it is a tremendous amount of work, but again, we're the pioneers of it, and I think I think when and if this gets in place, teachers in the future will have so much at their disposal that it won't be time prohibitive. But right now, yeah, it is. It's a labor of love.
It's interesting because I would imagine that being the pioneers in a program like this, you're also now, you're becoming the go-to people for the other teachers in the building. Do you feel that what you're learning in the program as you go forward is transferable, that you can then show other teachers what you've already done, maybe can save some time on that end of it because you've already been there, done that, and go forward with some of the lessons that you've created and can share them among the grade level teams?
Yes, and it's also very easy to share websites or activities that you have found. It's easy to just email them to a teacher, and it's great that once we have found it now, we can share it with our teammates as well.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I think it's
Thank you.
important too, all this work that they're putting into this pilot program this year is there for them next year and the year after and the
Right,
year after.
yeah,
So
yeah.
all this hard work.
And even
to be
I said,
shared.
rooting through all the activities that are there to pick and choose which ones, are appropriate for what we're focusing on. That's a one-shot deal. You have a core, and then if you want to add on to it, that's always possible. But if my vision is to maybe sometime integrate this with a more standard curriculum, traditional curriculum, so that you don't totally rely. I shudder to think if our computer lab shuts down. That is our entire curriculum, so we have that to deal. So I think in a perfect world, to integrate this technology piece of Renzuli with a more traditional curriculum would be great. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Well, I know I speak for Mr. Shaw when I say as principals, we really appreciate what you two ladies are doing this year.
Thank you, and
Thank
thank you for
you.
your
I've been
support. You're always
quite
there.
fascinated going in and watching. It's
Yeah.
been very, very exciting. And the work that Mrs. Eppolito has done, obviously, to help and guide you and
Yeah.
all of our
Thank you.
teachers with this exciting program this year. We've made, I think, some quantum leaps forward this year with our technology and the
Yeah.
integrating of technology, which is really our goal.
Right.
So we're really excited about what's gone on this year.
We've also put the hook into the kids because it's every time we go into the labs and see these lessons taking place, the kids are excited.
Yeah.
And
most
they
important.
talk about it outside the room. You hear them talking about it in the hallways, they talk about it at lunch, which to me, that means that what we're doing is working because it's definitely have an impact beyond the classroom.
Right.
How often do you have kids saying, when's my next assignment?
Exactly, yeah.
Yes,
There you go. That
right.
says
When
it
we
all.
want back, yeah.
Very excited.
I used to go into the after-school program and watch the children in there using the computers, and they would be on there playing games. Now I go in there now and they're using Renzuli
That's right.
Yeah.
on their own. They can go in there independently, and they can go for hours and hours and hours doing all stuff that's related to
Right.
their particular needs
Yeah.
and their levels and ability levels. So it's great, and they're having a ball and they're
Absolutely.
learning. So,
Yeah.
so it's a great program. Well, I think that's it. I think we're tying up now. I'd like to take a minute and thank all of our guests today. Mr. Shaw, my colleague, thank you for joining us
Ferriero,
today.
thank you. Yeah.
Mrs. Lisa Eppolito, who does yeoman's work for us.
Thank
I don't know what we
you.
would do without her in terms of bringing these new technologies into the system. She's been wonderful.
Thank you.
Ms. Jen DeSimone from the west, and Mrs.
Thank
Sally
you.
Lojek at the
Thank
north,
you.
doing wonderful things with our children. We appreciate all that you've done. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just a reminder for our audience, we'll be back again, Mr. Ferriero and I, in January with the second part of our presentation on technology in the classrooms. We have more to show you. We haven't seen everything yet, so we have more exciting things coming up in January. Thank you very much for your attention to the show. Thank you.